is happening here? Holy cow. What a gap. Okay. NQ's headed up here, but PS is staying still. Echo Shik. I'm gonna see how many of these accounts I can blow up the past one. They're like $10 accounts, $11, whatever it is. Insane. Like the fact that they give you a $10, so that's cheaper than Apex, and Apex had a intraday trailing drawdown, which is insanity. This is end of day drawdown, so it's like, I don't want to say it's guaranteed pass, but you would have a better rate of passing these accounts. All right, looks like we're headed up then. Yeah, NQ's still headed up here. We got a pretty reasonable gap that we got to work on. About 40 points up from here. The straddle, oh, I gotta move the straddle. Straddle's like 40 points, so I think we opened at 76. Perfect. 76. 16. I think NDX, if I was monitoring NDX, it'd be pretty darn close to a gap fill right now. NQ is not following. Sorry, ES is not following NQ, I should say. Not yet, anyways. Yeah, and I don't mind like spending $11 on an account that I can pass quickly. And when I do pass, I'll pay that 99 activation. But I won't copy. I won't copy accounts though, because like I don't want to blow a crap ton of them up at the same time. So like I'll do like 1 or 2 a trade type of thing. Even then, I don't think I'll copy. Let's see where, oh, NQ, where is it likely to go? At some point, NQ is going to lose steam here. And we got FOMC minutes today, which I think is more important than it normally is. Mainly because you kind of get an inside look at what Warsh is thinking and what everyone else is thinking. I know he wanted to get rid of forecasting, and he's like establishing task force to deal with a bunch of things. And they also want to reference more current data that the private sector references that requires minimal revision, as opposed to what Jerome Powell's FOMC, his group was referencing, like data that constantly needs revisions. But yeah, there's a good chance I'm gonna miss some trades today. On like the accounts that I actually care about, while I trade these legend accounts. I wouldn't mind seeing a rejection somewhere around here. Yes, NQ. Yeah, that's the naked POC on NQ. So it would make sense to see some sort of pullback here. Yeah, yesterday's... Oh, no, that's POC, not naked POC. Sorry about that. Naked POC was basically the overnight high on NQ. This is POC for the sessions POC. Yeah, and I would likely trade two NQ contracts with which basically has a hard stop at 50 points because it's the max drawdown, and then 75 points for the pass. And looks like Trump is kind of escalating things again. So one thing I will be watching, like this doesn't structurally, this looks fine for a continued move up, but in the very worst case scenario, I would look for a move down to 73.40ish, maybe 73.50. Just basically that wedge that we drew a number of days back. NQ broke down the wedge, retested, and then tanked last night. The ES wedge is about 100 points down from here. And what's interesting about the wedge on ES is it also happens to be the overall value area low of this range that we've been in. So if it's value area low and there's a wedge there, that's a really good spot to go long. if we do get down there. $74.75. $74.75. $74.75. I'm watching $74.75. There's like a large positioning there that we'll need to bust through in order to do anything. But I suspect that dealer hedging is not super great today, given that vol is kind of high. 74.7. Let's see how we act at 74.75. The real test is also at 74.90. 74.90. I'm not seeing that here. I like 74.75. I would consider that gap fill on NQ. It's a good chance 74.75 holds here. There's the first rejection there. And VIX is still dropping. $74.75. Yeah, that's the first rejection there. I'd like to see how this 5-minute candle closes. Still a minute on this 5-minute candle. If it doesn't close top wick, then I have to think we're going to go up to fill the gap, which is basically 7,500. Yeah, it doesn't look great here. $15-minute looks positive still. After the sweep, ES sweep, it's gonna be a while, right? Or you're talking about NQ sweep? Yeah, it just looks like up. It just swept on ES. Hang on, what are we sweeping on ES? Oh, you're talking about the high. Okay, understood. Yeah, let's see if something forms here. NQ might want to go a little higher towards that 4:15 or maybe 4 o'clock candle on the 1 hour. There's an edge there too. Edge of sessional node. If we do head up, would be another 50 points from where we're at currently. Yeah, it is looking good here. It's a 5-minute closes top wick. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna blow like at least 2 accounts. Oh, that looks so good. Still funky price action here. Is there any news? Let me see. no real good news. There is some news, but it's just local. Like, I'm not expecting anything from that. Yeah, passing with NQ is going to be hard because 50 points is basically a 1-minute candle. So I gotta be like very strategic on where I enter, if I do enter. Or you can play like 1 NQ to try to pass this, but oh, that was a good pullback there. I should have entered on a real account. That was my mistake. But still kind of funky. This is very oddly choppy. Very oddly choppy. I'm in one NQ, but this is like an all-in account type of thing. Just trying to pass that. And then I got 50 points to the upside. And then 150 points. So it's a 3R trade. But yeah, I don't think these accounts are like me mentioning these trades aren't worth anything. So like I probably won't even mention them. Ooh, ES looks good. ES looks really good to the downside. Take it to the session, low volume node. It's still like 10 to 20 points, depending on where you want it in that low volume node. Damn, it's choppy. Man, this is insanely choppy. So we rejected 74.75, which is exactly what I was looking for. But I would like to see down, like quite a bit further down towards 74.30. But this thing's just messing around. Yeah, I wanted 74.75 rejection down to 74.40, 74.30, 74.40. But it's not ready yet. I think 15 minutes going to close doji. It's like really trying to hold this area here. So if 15 minutes going to try to close a doji, on NQ is what I was thinking. One hour is going to look pretty bullish too, though. VIX doing here? NQ is going to try to run up for that liquidity level. It seems. Either that or just really large retracement. No doji close. Yeah, I agree. Wait, are you talking about high day, like regular trading hours, or are you talking about that 4 o'clock high? Like 29.414, 29.415. 947. Oh, okay. Just a recent high. Okay. NQ might do this. It'll sweep. And then hopefully ES doesn't. VIX is coming down a little. I still don't know which way we're going. Yikes, look at that. They're making this hard. At this point, I would want to see it just slide here. If we're going to slide, just slide. After watching ES is already in the zone. Not interested in this setup anymore. Wow, I did not expect it to be this slow. Like below the low during the London session and pre-market, and then give us this awesome chop to play with. Yeah, see, NQ's at this edge of node, so it's kind of perfect for a rejection. It's just whatever entry model. And mind you, it already rejected like almost 100 points, so off this node. Off that 392 level. 29392. YM looks like it wants to climb here. Yeah, YM is climbing. ES is climbing with it. NQ. Oosh. ES is just taking a not ES, sorry. NQ is taking a break. $10-15 point range since the open. Gotta love it. Now YM's headed higher. This is confusing me. To me, it's just chop right now. Yeah, let me check the straddle again. It's 35 points now. The 930 straddle was, yeah, 40 points. Hey, ES, where the hell are you going, ES? I just really wanted to see 74.75 hold. And it's been holding right now. But if we should trickle above and hold above, then I'd be concerned about shorting. Because it's after 74.75, I think we get a straight line trip to 7,500. And we're that high there was 74.72 on SPX. We're finally gonna go. Or more chop. Okay, I closed there. Just to take some profit. On that NQ trade that I had. Instead of waiting for 150 points, I took 75. Or just under 75. Yeah, there was just this large positioning at 74.75 that I really thought if the that would be the deciding factor in my opinion. It was like our line in the sand. That was it. 930 low on NQ. ES could be TP. Yeah, I'm gonna regret not holding that one and passing the account on one shot. Okay, VIX is kicking up now. Let's see if Trump is saying anything. Iran's mariners. The report on the shutdown of Hormuzgan airport has been denied. Flights at airports in Hormuzgan continue. Interesting. Okay, let me check the strato again after that vol spike up. Yeah, it's just over 35 now. So we're still hanging out at 35. Okay, moment of truth. 74.55 is a test there. And then run to 74.40. Yeah, that was interesting seeing that on OptionsDepth, and maybe I'll transition there so you can. I just realized I didn't have OptionsDepth open on the feed, but 74.75 was like The only major dealer negative strike here. So I was just watching it for the most part. And yeah, and you can kind of see if we're in positive gamma and we see this little hump or little nipple that kind of sticks out on 74.75, 74.80. This is driven by the 74.75 strike on SPX. And oftentimes I would play some sort of rejection or look for some sort of entry model in order to play a move down. And a good spot to take profits, probably 10 points, I would think. But you can ride it down to about here until it tests this area here. And it may even go ahead and test 74.30, depending on what volatility is doing. But yeah, right now you're hovering at 74.55 intraday. This is the intraday positioning. Yeah, YM's coming down now too. Equal lows there, I think, on ES. Yeah, equal lows on ES. NQ is popping up here. Could be just a retracement. Yeah, I still like it to 74.40, which is another 14 points down from here. But right now we're reacting to 74.55. I don't have any Alma's level today. I think she's having technical difficulties. Oftentimes she provides like, hey, this is a good reversion. This is a high probability reversion. And if I see a setup around there, I would normally take it. Especially if like the high probability reversion point that she sees, which is options based. If I see it on like a volume profile node of some sort, then it's something worth considering to take. Because then you get like the vol confluence. When I say vol, I mean volatility. And then you also get the TA confluence of some sort, whether it be a sweep, volume profile, something like that. So I really can't take her stuff blindly. Oh, that might have been it. The 5 minute that closed like that. It's gonna leave the equal lows. It shouldn't leave the equal lows. but it's been a pretty choppy market, so oh yeah, we are gonna just pump up here. Amazing. Deep pullbacks today. I went back to 74.71 off the high volume doji, which normally signifies upside for me. Yeah, high volume doji on the 5-minute ES. And we pumped like 10 points, more than 10 points actually. But we're pretty much in the middle here, and I don't really want to take a risk blowing up an account going short. ES is 930 lows. Oh, that was the equal low. Okay, okay. Yeah, I see. No, I closed the NQ trade like, sorry, I know I mentioned it, but I closed it around like 280, 281, 281, 281. So that would have been around the 10-11 candle. It was like around 65 points ish, something like that. I was like, I'm just gonna take that for now, and then rather than the whole 150, I wanted 150 just to pass it off one single NQ account, but 150 would have been 204 and I would have missed it. And it's not nice. It's just like whatever trades I'm taking on this account, it should not be regarded as anything, because we're just like, I'm just trying to quickly pass it, right? So it's almost like a one-shot wonder. And I wouldn't attribute this to my trading capabilities at all. Like, to me, there's no real discipline being exercised here. So I'd disregard all these accounts that I'm working on. Very choppy. Holy cow. We're still in the 930 range, as you said, right? That was an equal low on ES. I honestly thought we would run towards 74.40. Maybe we will, but right now it just doesn't look like it. The 15-minute close would be telling, I think. And there's still a number, like there's still like 3 minutes on the 15-minute close. Oh, maybe I should have shorted after all. It's very odd. I'm not in love with how the candles are moving on the 5-minute. Like I would regard this as a barcode. Like it's just barcoding. Like I can't tell if it wants to go up or down. But I'll wait for the 15-minute to tell me. Like to me, see that move? That was insane. But VIX popped on that move, which is very interesting, and we didn't move any lower. VIX popped up. That's like the VIX high day there. But the... Okay, Trump Netanyahu had a great wartime... Trump said, Netanyahu has been a great wartime prime minister. Trump, maybe we'll do some things that could increase the oil price. Yeah, Alma was saying to buy oil at around like the high 60s. She's been leveraging in, so now we're at 75, which is insane. Pretty good take, I'd say. But this is like more of like a long-term portfolio thing. Oh, it's a NATO summit that they're at. Okay. German Chancellor, there is no final decision on the extension of the NATO pipeline system towards the eastern flank of the alliance. Syria could help with Hezbollah, we'll find out. There's a lot going on. But maybe this movement makes sense in the context of we have FOMC minutes coming up. At around I think it's at 2 p.m., right? Oh man, that 15-minute close was... It looks bearish on ES. It looks bullish on NQ. Love it. Like these accounts from Legend, like being only $11 USD or whatever it is, they're great because if you take one trade based off of whatever the stop loss is and whatever the take profit is, and you aim for that 1.5 R, you're gonna hit that like based off of your win rate at some point, right? So if your win rate was 50%, you're probably going to have a 50% pass rate if you don't do anything funny. And you just take the trade, your normal trade, but you just leverage up. So that way it's like one single trade. But that's the theory. And then there's what actually happens, like what I did just now, which is I took profit shy of where I should have held it to, right? So now I turn one trade into two trades. But it may work to my advantage, it may not. Wow, this is so nasty. 20-point range since the morning, since the open. ES to me is pointing down. NQ to me is neutral to up. And there's a lot of headlines coming in about oil, and Trump is talking like every other second. And ES right there did not want to go down any further. Just random jumps. And it's based on headlines that are coming in. See, like Trump is like, oil is coming down very big, but oil prices may lift up a little bit. And Trump is like, anytime we hit Iran, oil goes up. It's all right. This dude's so crazy. It's amazing. Yeah, I'm just not willing to take any bets here. Oh man, look at in. Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I definitely missed that boat. Okay, so the equal lows got taken out there. Yeah, nothing is very clean today. It's almost like the market is very unsettled based on what based on like the NATO meeting. They're finally trickling lower on ES. So far, NQ is rejecting that edge of node. We had 74.47 was a low. Still wanted to see 74.40, but Today is very nasty. Ten 37 candle. That it doesn't seem like your normal play. 1037. Is it me or is this not your normal play? Trickling down to 74.40. I don't anticipate a reaction until 74.40, around there, with a potential run to 74.30. All right, we're basically in the influence of that 74.40 position. There's a chance we run this towards 74.30 on a vol spike. But I definitely have my eyes. Well, I'm watching the price action, yes, but there's a chance we could see 73.40 on SPX, which is about 110 points lower from here. I don't know if FOMC is going to do it, but I feel like that that trade you took, Koshik, I'm looking at it, and unless you entered right after the sweep or something, but if you say 1037 candle, I feel like it's not your normal trade. Let me see. Okay, I see what you're... 2437. Yeah, but like, did you get the volume confirmation that you wanted? Because I feel like it was pretty mixed volume. 15-minute low sweep and targeting 50% of the range. Yeah. From an R perspective, I think from an R perspective, it makes sense. But did you get the volume that you normally look for on the 1 minute? I feel like there's prettier setups that I've seen you take before. Okay, that's a straddle low there. Yeah, not my best way, but got volume on NQ, but not ES. NQ, okay, let me see what NQ did. Oh, I see, yeah. Yeah, I see the volume. I was a little biased down just based on where the volume profile was at. No, sorry, did I say volume profile? I meant to say the breakdown by strike. It just seemed like a move towards 74.40 was likely. But I wasn't prepared to take a reversal trade there. And it would have been nice. And not to mention that NQ also bounced off of value area low there. And I think ES was also value area low. SMT also, yeah. Yeah, the primary reason why I have to say I didn't enter was just because of OptionsDepth, and I was biased further down. Though I don't know that I would take the same trade either. Wow, look at that. What the heck? Trump must be saying something. Yeah, maybe I should have taken that trade blindly. It was straddle low. It was 74.40 on SPX and value area low, session value area low. And you got a high volume candle at 1050. Massive, like, I know it's doji, so it suggested maybe a termination candle. But that's not good enough for me. I normally like a 5-minute, right? But yeah, that was there's a lot of confluence at 74.40 there. Sadly, I did not take it. So do you have another trade left on your accounts, or are you gonna consider a Legends or the Lucid 65? I hope Legends is good. Like, I hope they're not like Apex, but they're running a pretty high profile competition right now between a few influencers. So I feel like they're really trying to gain market share, and if they deny people, then it would be pretty crappy. My only issue with Legends, I think, is the second payout is you have to make a whole $2,000 before you can pull any money out. What I did today was I took 65% off Lucid and traded it other 2 evals. I kept the funded aside. Oh, nice. Okay. Nice. Yeah, it's going to be... Yeah, I know the funded is a funded account, but the fact that you have one more account, don't hang your hat on losing it. Like, if you lose it, don't feel crappy about it. Like, this is just like your typical drawdown period, you know? And the market has been unbelievably hard to trade, in my opinion. Like, there's been a lot of back and forth. I've blown like a few evals, and luckily I managed to like make 2K on my funded, but it's been a lot of back and forth trading. Like, it would go a 1K up, 1K down, 1500 up, 1K down. You know, it's been a lot of that, and you kind of see it through my the Tradeify account that I brought to within like $300 of passing or whatever, right, if I remember correctly, and it went 2K down. Like, this market's been unusually hard because it's hard to predict whether it's going to range or trend. And then sometimes it doesn't even do either. It's almost like a choppy trend, like today. Yeah, it's not a bad thing. But I mean, aren't you doing some real estate with your dad? Because if you're still doing, like, that's not a bad job. And it just takes off pressure of passing, you know? But to me, like, you are pretty disciplined. But your percentages went from 40% to like 60%, right? Um, for your win rate. And it's almost as if, and I think prior to that, you were saying your average win percentage was around like 45% or something to that degree. And because your win rate was 45% and it popped up to 60%, you had an unbelievable run. And whenever you have an unbelievable run, if you're using the exact same strategy and it was at 45% before, that drawdown period is going to kick in at some point, right? And bring you back to that 45 average that you've been having. So like, I wouldn't say you did poorly at all. You just stayed very true and very disciplined to your strategy. And the stat just played out. Yeah, they're gonna wear you down there. I mean, you're wearing yourself down here, but they'll definitely wear you down on the software dev side. But at least there's a lot more AI these days, and you can get Claude to do so much for you. How well is MBA recognized over there. Because I find that over here, everyone has an MBA, and it means almost nothing these days. And ultimately it's they hire you based on what you actually know, and I find that a lot of MBA students know nothing. Even the guys that had CFA, I was talking to a few friends that work for a bank and also in the investment side, and they're just all salesmen, but they all have their CFA, and in theory they should be great at managing money, or they should have like some sort of understanding of options and things like that. But when he talks to me and I talk to him, when I talk to him, it's almost like it's like a deer in a headlight type of thing when I'm talking about options with him and stuff like that. Like, he knows his job, and his job is to sell and basically get people's money to invest with and put it in some S&P equivalent that yields about the same amount of as S&P, maybe a little bit higher. And if they do that, then, well, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. They get to collect like 0.6% management fee on the amount that they're managing. So the more money they have, the more money they make, right? Which is absurd in my opinion. But mind you, if you have a great understanding of like MBA concepts already and actually do things, like, I feel like if you're in real estate or if your family's in real estate, there's a lot that you know that an average person taking their MBA would not know. And then especially if you're in real estate and you're managing your own either portfolio, you have to understand the finance side of it. You have to understand the bookkeeping side of it. And yeah, like, all that matters. And that experience to me would be much better than wasting your time doing an MBA. And then, but I understand the argument that if you do want to apply for jobs later on, having those 3 letters MBA looks good, because there are still employers looking for it. But I know a lot of employers that are trying to hire outside the box, like, where, because enough people who graduate from from university, they just know nothing coming out of university. So it's just like, hey, let's grab this kid who's coming out of high school. He's eager and he wants to learn, and we can teach him everything that he needs to learn. And he'll be much better off with 4 years of experience with us than over 4 years of experience, of general experience in a university, learning fundamentals that you maybe only 10% remember. But yeah, like, the university degrees in general are like very diluted. Like, everyone has one. I guess it was the equivalent of a high school degree back then. But don't get me wrong, if you want to do work If you eventually want to work in that industry or have a decent backup, then I understand why you might want those 3 letters. It makes a lot of sense, because then you won't then you'll actually be considered at these companies that aren't willing to look the other way. But like when you hear about Microsoft, so my point is just like the Microsoft and the Googles of the world, their minimum criteria is a high school degree, because they notice that people coming out of university lose their creativity and don't know anything and have to learn on the job anyways. So they hire based on like personality and which is like, oh, is this person like a go-getter? Are they willing to work hard? Do they have the motivation, self-motivation to work hard? And things like that. And I think you can get like, there's like, I had a coworker asked me a number of years back, I think it was like over 6 years, maybe over 7 years, maybe even 8 years. And they asked, like, they did their MBA, they did it online. And it was, he got the MBA, right? And it looks good at the end of his signature. But didn't know anything about starting a business. Didn't know anything about like real estate, like doing your balance and checks or real estate transactions. And he wanted to get into real estate. And I was like, oh man, like you're asking me all this stuff because yes, I've bought and sold a number of places and renovated a number of places myself. But like you did your MBA, in theory, you should know these things, right? So it's like, so it was just kind of ironic that me, who's like quote unquote less educated, who just was willing to power through and learn these things on the fly and problem solve on the fly, gave me that opportunity to learn these things that's valuable to someone who did an MBA. And I think that's part of like my bias against doing an MBA versus actually getting out there and doing what you want to do. Like, I mean, it's on par with all the things that you and I talk about government and about the markets and things like that. And like about the food industry, about the health industry. Like it's all on par. But to me, you're not far from where I was, and or from where I am now in terms of trading. Like it could be another year, but like to me, you've like, I think discipline wise, you're much better than me. Because I'm more discretional. But my discretional is what keeps me in and out of trades at times. So I've done the sweeps and volume stuff. And I just noticed that, hey, I often, there's like, it still feels like very 50-50 doing it that way. And I still felt like I was blowing up accounts. Like liquidity sweep and look for an entry, right? Whether it be some sort of IFVG, a volume-based thing. Yeah. But what I felt like I lacked was the higher time frame. Like, where does this want to go? Where do we want to go right now? Like, what's the higher time frame candles trying to tell me? And then I comboed that in with other things like dealer hedging flows with OptionsDepth. I think that's ultimately why I rely on this so much, is because yes, and there are times that it doesn't work, and then there are times that it does work. And knowing when those times are is also critical. And I'm not always good at picking up on it. But yeah, it's been working again to some degree. But it gives me enough confluence to stay away from a trade or enter a trade, I find. Like, I felt like it was my missing link. And there's a lot of people that use different things. I know a guy who reads I think I showed you an indicator before of the bubbles on the NQ 1 minute or ES 1 minute. And he was telling me that he hasn't taken a trade for a month because his bubbles weren't giving him the right signals. And mind you, there's a little bit of discretion that needs to be taken when reading the bubbles. And the bubbles are very much like your volume, the bull bear volume, which I really like, by the way, the bull bear volume. I just don't think you can act alone on that. But it's a nice 1 minute confirmation, in my opinion. But maybe you're missing out one little thing that, and it could be like higher time frame volume profile. Like for instance, this morning, I was kind of like, I liked it down and I thought we can go down because of this 1 hour edge of node here. And in theory, it didn't have to sweep this previous high. But once we got here, it was like, hey, let's look for something. Let's look for anything. Let's figure something out, and we might head down. It took a while, but we eventually went down, right? And this is on the 1 hour chart. And just drawing these nodes, you find very interesting like reactions, edge of node reactions on NQ. And then when NQ and ES correlate or correspond to one another when it comes to like certain levels, like let's say NQ's at an edge of node, but ES happens to be at like a POC or a high volume node, then in theory that's confluence of some sort. Like ES is, to me, it's always been less clean when it came to volume profile, I've always liked looking at NQ a little bit better. But NQ can run on a trend day. So you can't like blindly take things. But like here, last night you had this little ES void here, right? It's like a low volume node amongst like a high volume node area. You get a bounce off of there. So I would have been looking for this sweep right here at some point if I was trading. And then if you get it, you're like, okay, great. I got the sweep signal at 74, 79, 50. Here's the alert. And you're technically awake for this, right, Koshik? At 4 a.m. in the morning. Yeah. 4 a.m. in the morning. I think your time, you'd be well awake. And then at some point, you're going to be like, okay, we're going to get some sort of reversal here. Maybe it's here. Maybe it's here, like from that edge. Or maybe it's here from this edge. And then I would say, hey, yeah, like this looks perfect for a trade. Like somewhere around here. Like I'd just be looking for something to happen. I don't think from a volume perspective. Yeah, the volume wasn't great on the 1 hour. It's London time, right? I haven't looked at the 15-minute chart yet. Let me see. I think 15 minutes, maybe 5 minutes. Sec. Yeah, it's weird because like you end up with an SMT and then you kind of like have, check the 15-minute chart. 15-minute chart. So right here, this was an interesting volume candle right at 6. Like maybe you could have found an entry on the 1 minute, but I personally wouldn't trade the 1 minute overnight. Because funky stuff sometimes happens overnight, right? But I'd look at like the 6 o'clock candle and I notice, hey, yeah, like that volume on the 15-minute is interesting to see. And on the 5-minute, I think you get like a few bottom wicks in the area. No real SMT to work off of, I think. Yeah, I don't think you have an SMT to work off of. Or maybe you do. The SMT occurs around like 5:10 and 5:15. But I don't think you can really enter until you see that volume on the 15-minute here. Six o'clock, I marked it. And then 6 o'clock. Oh, shoot. I marked 6 o'clock here. And you get a high volume candle with a doji on NQ. And you're like, hey, this might be worth a shot. I'm going to put one or two MNQ. And you got 50 points of drawdown. 50 points of drawdown. 2 MNQ. That's $200, right? And you just ride this thing. And you're like, hey, let's see where this thing goes. And your stop loss, if you put a break even, you kind of luck out and it never hits your break even, because your entry would have been at like 960. And then you just play that sweep, and it's such a major sweep level that you gotta take it. Like, I don't know where the POC was at. Actually, I can check. Let's check it. So this is the POC and how it looks like. This is value area low. This is POC. This is the volume profile on the session, and this is how it would have looked like at 6 o'clock. To the left right here. There you go. That might be better. So with NQ, I was like, hey, it might be worthwhile taking it to value area low or POC, especially off such a major sweep level on ES. I don't know if NQ swept anything, but ES had like such a major sweep level. And you could have taken it on ES too, right? So these are the boxes that I made, right? From the volume profile nodes. So this is an edge, and this is also like a low volume node within like the high volume or high value node. But this 5-minute candle here looks legit, and you're like, okay, let's give this thing a shot, right? And just let it play out. And then from a volume profile perspective, okay, value area low is here, and POC is way up here, but that's pretty ugly on ES, which is why I say NQ is a little bit better for using volume profile as a proxy for take profits. But it was an ES sweep that you're paying attention to, and then an NQ 15-minute doji, or a 5-minute bottom wick. And you're like, okay, let's just try it with 2 MNQ or 1 MNQ, just for the heck of like trying it. And maybe you take this on sim just to try and see how it all goes first, right? But I find that the way that the guy taught me how to read volume profile nodes is pretty good. I'm looking for reactions off those levels, those edges. Oh wow, we're headed much lower here. Wasn't really paying attention. And then on top of that, one of the things that I've always had in mind was this wedge down here at 73.40-ish. I was like, we can overrun that wedge, especially if NQ has already broke the wedge, retested and failed, and then we tanked. So like a lot of it just kind of made sense for further downside. So it's just like trying to come up with a narrative or a higher time frame narrative or high probability liquidity run, right? And this wedge would be a high probability liquidity run, because on ES that wedge happens to be a value area low. So it could make a lot of sense to bounce off of there. And there'll also be this sweep here from whatever the heck happened there. So a lot of it kind of lines up well with, hey, and then on top of that, like Alma gives me a good confirmation of how to think of things, if you will. Like if I see supports around here, Alma's looking at something different. She's looking at Gamma, all the other Greeks, and she's saying, hey, yeah, like I'm just expecting chop. Don't expect any trend up beyond all-time highs type of thing. We're just going to stay in this range. And that's what the market is betting on type of thing. So all that helps me build this picture, and it's building like a higher time frame picture, if you will. Sorry, I went on a rant there. But it was more or less like how I trade. A trading firm? That's crazy. This is a full-time in-office trading role. Hang on. Is this in India? Because that's wild that they're executing intraday strategies across North, Central, and South America equities. And it's in office. 50% of your returns. There's no fixed salary. Where you find this job description? That's pretty cool. That's really cool. Because you're essentially working for, like, this is what a real prop firm is, right? Just like those guys, SMB Capital, they're a real prop firm too. And they normally require their people to, and I would say they're like institutional style prop firms. They're not like this retail stuff that we're seeing online. That's like made to, like, it's not meant to make a trader. It's meant to give an opportunity, but also screw most traders, like 90% of traders, right? Like the business model is for you to fail. But for this one, they actually care about real traders. Like SMB Capital, all those prop firms, they want you to do well because they make money off of you. And then you want to do well because you make money off of them. And you're working with a crazy amount of capital. Like you're not working with like a $2,000 stop loss type of thing. You should, hey, it's not bad. And I think it should, if they're a real prop firm, they should give you the resources that you need. So like all this, like, I don't know what happens with like subscriptions that you require, accounts that you require and things like that, all those fees. I would imagine that they front all those things for you. But I'd work at a prop firm if I could, because there are less rules, right? Mind you, the rules are the rules that you set in place, but you don't have to meet the like passing a $3,000 account or passing a 50K account where the TP is 3,000 and the stop loss is 2,000. Like, it's already made for you to fail type of thing, right? But yeah, I think you might just be missing something that helps give you a narrative as to where the market might go from a higher time frame perspective. Like, we're talking about a daily chart, a 4-hour chart, and at the very worst or at the very lowest, a 1-hour chart. Because that's one thing, like, and you've probably seen this so many times with ICT traders. They're always like, higher time frame, you got to review the higher time frame and stuff like that, right? But yeah, like, I have nothing to gain from this, so I'm just telling you like what I'm seeing for on my end based on my biases and my experience and what I'm seeing from you. Let me see what vol signals is saying right now. 74.25, 74.25. Yeah, that was the next downside level that I saw too. And we went to 74.25. Actually, 74.22. Damn it. That would have been a good long opportunity also. Would have been better if it swept, in my opinion. Like, we were just a few points from sweeping. And Euro close reversed it. Or London close. If we lose this one, then 74.10 is the obvious pinfluence in the lower range. 74.10? Yeah, I can see that. Holding the lower range, I traded into the 74.40, 74.65, so call fly. 74.65 is his middle. Basic play for reversion to midday balance level in the 11:30 to 2 p.m. window after holding the lower test. Overnight low. Not loving it until we clear 74.40. Yeah, so he's vol signal seems to be playing a move up towards 74.65. But he doesn't like it until we hold above 74.40 on SPX. And we're currently at 74.35. But I guess it's his way to manage his risks based on how he reads markets. I don't love the way he reads markets by itself. Yeah, to me, the way he reads markets, like, I feel like he's missing something. Like he's missing technical analysis or liquidity levels, volume profile levels, stuff like that. Like he's basing it solely on one thing, which is the way dealers hedge. Interesting 5-minute ADMA rejection there. But yeah, ultimately, if I didn't move my stop loss from the initial trade, I think I would have passed that account. Kind of sucks. I should have just left it. Just like blow up or make it, you know? Let me remove this. I still like this potential move, but right now it seems like consolidate a little until FOMC. FOMC minutes, that is. And I think this one matters at 2 p.m. Mainly because Warsh is new. So we're going to get like some insight on what everyone's thinking. Oh, that was 50% of the move too. See how interesting is that? 50% fib of SPX move, low to high, swing low to high. And then you also have the 74.25 SPX dealer level over here. So it made a lot of sense to bounce there. My only issue with that is we bounced before the sweep. All right, I think I'm gonna call it on the stream. I'll definitely still continue paying attention to the market. But I'll probably go have some lunch. All right, so I'm cutting off. Have a good one, Koshik.